All right, I'm TJ Rogan from Overmind.com. We're here today with Bowling for Soup. Now, I'm going to start this like probably every single interview in the entire world starts. Introduce yourself, say what you do in the band, and then as a mini icebreaker, tell me definitively what the best beer is.
Okay, my name is Eric. I'm the bass player for Bowling for Soup. And definitively, the best beer is Iron Thistle. And it's made by Fort Worth Brewery in Texas. And it's a great, like, 9% beer. And it's a dark Scotch ale. Yes.
There's no alternate answer.
It is my favorite beer of all time. I currently have 3 cases in a beer cellar, 2 of which are over a year old because it ages like wine.
I'm going to really, really not like myself for asking these 2 questions, but one of them was tweeted at me. But what is, because we're getting facts from you, definitively the best soup?
Man, I'm a tomato soup guy. Like, just simple. Like, you know, nothing special about it. Like, I've got the what is it? The Campbell's soup in hand thing. I've got about 4 cans of tomato soup on the bus right now because that, you know.
Is 4 cans enough?
For the next 3 days.
To get these facts, 5-pin or 10-pin bowling?
Oh, yeah, 10.
Yeah, that was the question I didn't want to ask. It's obviously 10.
There's no. I mean, that's not even a choice. You know, 5-pin is just kind of pointless, I think.
What is your ideal weight for a bowling ball for 10-pin bowling?
Okay, we got a problem there because I don't own my own ball. I have to use the balls that are provided at the alley, and I have extremely thick fingers, and the only balls that they make with holes large enough for my fingers are 16-pound balls, 15 or 16 pounds, and so I would rather roll with a 12-pound or a 10-pound ball, but I don't have any option other than to use the heaviest ones that they make because they're the only ones that'll fit my fat little sausage fingers. But then, well, I'm not going to go where I was going to go with that. I'm going to leave that right there.
I don't know why I'm stuck on this food thing, but before we were also talking about, and I feel like you're a man of answers.
I love to answer things.
And I want to see if the people in a previous interview had the correct answer.
Okay.
4 Year Strong had the correct answer.
All right.
What is definitively the manliest meat?
Oh, man. Yeah, see, beef or pork, man. That's a toss-up right there. Because you know what? The manliest meat, vagina, is the manliest meat, and that's the manliest meat that you can eat, and I will leave it right there. Sorry.
That is actually the complete opposite answer. 100% that 4 Year Strong has.
They said cock.
Oh, really? Nah, I'm going from a consumption standpoint. So I don't know that cock. I don't consume that a lot. Or ever. So, you know, I'm just going with what I love.
you guys have been playing music for forever, and there's a bunch of young artists coming up, and they kind of do things a little bit differently than what you guys have been doing throughout your careers. So what is the one thing you wish that new artists would do more of?
Well, that's a tough question. The one thing that I wish that, and not even new artists, but more artists would do, is don't take yourself so seriously. You know, I understand being serious, and we are very serious about what we do. I am a lifelong musician, and I am totally dedicated to my art form, but you don't have to have a chip on your shoulder about it, you know, and so many people seem to, and it's like you're having the most fun that you can ever have if that's exactly what you love doing it. And so why would you make such an oppressive vibe about it, you know? And so it's like, you know, just enjoy yourself, like lean back and enjoy the ride, you know, because that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 30 years of my life, and you know, I get to sit here and talk to you, you know, about it now.
And kind of reminiscing a bit more, you know, that was kind of a bit of a down note, but there was a spark of happiness in there, and it was, what is the happiest thing that you've done in your life?
Happiest thing. Birth of my daughter was one of the most brilliant moments in my entire life. The first time that we were asked to play Warped Tour, happiest moment, one of the happiest moments. I got a phone call in 2003 at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was my manager yelling at me, saying that I'd been nominated for a Grammy. That was a pretty good moment. Playing in front of 85,000 people at the Download Festival in the UK in 2007 was another one, and meeting a certain special someone a couple of years ago was right up there with all of those. So it was just a good moment.
Kind of playing with an emotional roller coaster with you. I kind of feel a bit cruel doing this, but taking the exact flip side, what was kind of that one moment in your life that you kind of regret and that you could kind of change?
You know, I like to say that I have no regrets, and I really don't feel like I personally, or we as a band, have done anything differently than we should have. But the worst moment, or one of the worst moments, was this is way back in the day, early 90s, and we were opening for an amazing band who I love, called Pansy Division, like great old school punk rock band, but we were the opening band out of first out of 3, I think, and this had to have been in '94, in our first year together, and had two gentlemen push, and nobody was at the venue yet, so these two guys pushed a table right up in front of the stage and then laid out pansies on the table and brought chairs up and sat there, and as we played, just did this. And that was one of the worst moments in my career, but at the same time, those were the kinds of things, when stuff like that has happened to us, that was the thing that gives you the intestinal fortitude to just push forward and go through it. And it's like, well, you know what? Screw you, because what I'm doing is cool, and I give not one single care about how you feel about this. And those are the things that have brought us to this point in our career.
I guess throwing a potentially deep question, but a potentially also, I guess, silly question in there. If you had the unfortunate, demise of, dying in some epic fashion or another, what would you want written on your epitaph? He
had a good time. I mean,
that's pretty self-explanatory.
That's it. Like, there's nothing more important to me than enjoying my life at all times, I mean, as much as you can. Obviously, you can't enjoy every situation that you get into, but just love your life. That's the best. That's the best advice that I could ever give to anyone. And do things that make you happy. Eat food that is bad for you because it tastes good. Go out once a week and have one too many beers and call a cab and have them take you home. Do things that make you feel good, because that makes you a better person. It makes you feel better about yourself, and you live a fuller life. And there are so many people, and I have so many friends that I see that are just locked down into these dull and boring lives that they've put themselves in and made situations that they won't allow themselves to get out of, and it kills me, because it's like you don't have to be there, you don't have to. I understand that you're making $300,000 a year sitting in this cubicle, but if you have no joy in your life and no ability to use any of that money to do things that are fun that you enjoy doing, then there's no reason to do it. Like, get out of there, go work 30 hours a week at McDonald's and have an amazing time, spending the rest of your time enjoying yourself.
What would be then your response? Like, if you had a fan come up to you and kind of relay that same kind of thing of, and you see it in them where they're just kind of like stuck in their box and they don't, they're not, enjoying their life. How do you respond to that?
I'm not going to tell anybody, and this is kind of backtracking, I'm not going to tell anybody to give up their life, what they're doing, but I would definitely say to reevaluate and think about the things that make you happy and start to put priorities in place that allow you to love who you are and be yourself. I mean, and that's basically the whole thing is being comfortable with yourself and loving yourself.
And then kind of going with that, kind of going into enjoying your life and whatever. Extremely curious, what is the most punkest thing you've ever done?
The punkest thing that I've ever done was buy the first album that I ever purchased with my own money, and that was Run DMC Raising Hell. And that's quite possibly the punkest thing that I've ever done.
How old were you when you bought that?
I was about, let me see, I think I was 10. It was quickly taken away from me by my parents because evidently there was some questionable content in there. I don't know, but yeah, that was probably the most punk thing I've ever done.
And then from there, you've planted the seeds of, I want to be a musician that writes questionable content.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to be a musician who really doesn't care what anybody thinks about what I'm doing, and so content, questionable or unquestionable, doesn't really matter. It's just what we're talking about.
I heard that you kind of have a Phineas and Ferb kind of theme going on through Warped Tour. What brought about the Phineas and Ferb theme?
We were asked by the creators of the show to record the song, and that was totally cool to us. Okay, so the two guys that created Phineas and Ferb first started working together on The Simpsons years ago, and evidently Bowling for Soup got played in the writers' room a lot with the Simpsons writers. And then they split up. One went on to work on Family Guy, and when it first started, another guy started had a show called Rocco's Modern World, and then they finally came together with this idea that they had about Phineas and Ferb, and once they got back together, it's like we want a real band to do our theme song rather than just some dude in the studio that just lays some stuff down. We want, and who do we want to do that? And they were both immediately like, oh, you know what? We should get Bowling for Soup. And they called us, and 2 days later, they had a finished recording in their hands, and it's we're loving it, and thanks, Dan and Swampy. I appreciate that, all of that.
And then kind of going back to you're a man of answers. What is the best zombie apocalypse defense plan?
It's funny. I just had a conversation with someone who's in this room about this just now, and I don't want to share my whole plan, because then if everybody knows that, I'm not going to be the survivors or amongst the survivors. But it involves blowing up bridges, lots of guns, and being in a place where you can fish. That way, All right. So the plan is to go to the Keys, blow up the bridges behind us as we go down, and you find the first island. You bring enough guns to kill the deadheads that are there, and then you've got ample land to farm. You've got sea to fish in. You've got plenty of boats because at that point most people are going to be dead. So you just take whichever one you want, and that's the plan.
What if the fish become zombies?
You see, have we really discussed that like zombie fish? I kind of think that wouldn't translate, like, because zombies aren't really looking for fish, and isn't the only way. Well, we've got all kinds of new.
We have zombie dogs now, so.
Well, yeah, we've got all kinds of new ideas in the world of zombification. So I don't. Then you just got to watch out for the zombie fish at that point, I guess.
And if, now that everyone knows your entire plan, and that, it's only a matter of time until your unfortunate and awesome demise.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Now that we have all his secrets.
You're still coming with us. It's fine.
Definitively, what would be the best final meal to have before you died in the zombie apocalypse?
A cheeseburger from the Libertine Bar in Dallas. There's nothing special about it, but there's just something about that one particular cheeseburger that always makes me happy, and so I save it. I eat a couple cheeseburgers a week, but that one I only get about once a month, once every 6 weeks or so.
So before you go to your island, do you have to go to that bar to get the burger, like in every movie ever?
Well, luckily my girlfriend is the general manager there, and so I'm hoping that we would be able to bring
the franchise over to your zombie apocalypse island.
Bring a bunch of them with us.
Hopefully, you don't get zombified burgers.
Yeah.
Am I going too far now?
No zombified burgers, man. Like you can mess me up with the fish, but don't start messing with the cows.
And to end up ending this interview of zombies and such, you've exhausted a lot of knowledge and facts in your life, and I'm trying to get one more out of you. I end all these interviews because everyone always has one piece of random trivia information in the back of their head. What would Bowling for Soup's random piece of trivia for the day be?
I don't know if it would be the entire band, and I don't know that it's exactly trivia anymore, but it's just a fact that I need to make sure that everybody knows. Han shot first, bitches.
All right, and I'm teacher from overmind.com, and that was Bowling for Soup.